Hey, welcome back to That'll Do Garage. Thanks for joining me. Today we're going to be working on this hot rod behind me. It's a 2005 Honda CRV, 300,000 miles. So we're going to be doing some front end stuff, ball joints, lower control arms, sway bar links, stuff like that. I've got to start by digging out all these Christmas boxes. And it is December 5th or something, and it's like 57 degrees, so I'm loving every minute of it. But anyway, let's get to work. Let me show you what we have to work on here. There are new brakes on this car already, so that's good. First thing you might notice, sway bar link is broken. That's supposed to be connected to there, and it's like that on both sides, so just came apart. I'm not really sure why. Way up in here, you can see we have a broken CV boot, the rubber boot, right up, way up there. And all the grease from the CV joint has leaked out, so we got a new boot. Also, the main reason that we're doing all this, our lower ball joint right here on this side is loose. There's a little bit of play between this and this. So we want to replace that lower ball joint, and the lower control arms are part of that equation, right? We got to take them off, and they kind of get dry rot on the bushings, and you know, it's just a good idea to do them. And these cars are a dime a dozen, so therefore the parts are pretty cheap. I think I got both lower control arms with new ball joints, sway bar links, a serpentine belt, and something else for like 240 bucks. I mean, it's really not that bad. So we're gonna do everything while we're in here. Oh, the CV boot thing. So to begin with, what we're gonna do, pull the brake caliper off and get it hanging. We're gonna pull the CV shaft nut off and free that up. Ultimately, we're gonna end up taking off the lower ball joint here, the nut, getting the shaft out of the way. We'll disconnect the broken sway bar links, and we'll probably have to disconnect the ABS sensor too. And we're going to end up taking this whole hub assembly or knuckle assembly off and setting it on the ground, because this ball joint here is actually pressed into the knuckle. So to change that out, we'll have to do all that disassembly. And then the lower control arm from that point is like two bolts, right? It's a bolt right there and a bolt right there. So that should be pretty easy. Sit rep, done some serious disassembly. It actually goes pretty fast. This stuff is all, there's nothing weird, there's no odd fasteners, everything's pretty accessible. 2-pinch bolts up here. I'll show you on the other side too, but 2-pinch bolts up here. I think it was like a 19 millimeter and a 21 millimeter, something like that. I got the lower ball joint off and ABS sensor disconnected, brakes removed. This was a 36 millimeter, which I didn't have, so I had to go buy a 36 millimeter socket. And I have encountered some issues, and I'll show you over on this side. So I went to disconnect the ABS sensor, and it would not come out on the passenger side. You can just tell sometimes it's going to break free and rotate around a little, and sometimes it absolutely won't. So we definitely have a headache with that. I'll show you on the other side. But so we're going to disassemble over here too, and I actually did order both new ABS sensors because they're hosed up. Like, first of all, this car has every light possible on the dash is on. Red brake light, amber brake light, ABS brake light, VSS, every light you can imagine. So replacing these two sensors might actually resolve an issue as well, but you can see this thing's all separated and it's not coming out of there. Like, I've been pulling on this and it's just like welded itself to the rust. So I put a punch over here and started trying to drive it out this way, and the whole thing is just rotted away. So I would assume it wasn't working anymore. I don't know, we'll see. But I got a set of these, just for your information. I got a set of these from, let's see, partsgeek.com. was like 35 bucks. rockauto.com was 28 bucks. And Napa was 320 bucks. I don't know why that happens, but so we went with the Rock Auto one because it comes faster and it was cheaper. So I got both sides for the front, drivers and passenger, and you could get all four, including the rear, for like $45, like just crazy. But I don't want to get into that for labor. So we'll pull this thing out. We'll clean out the bore of this hole here, get all the rust removed. It'll probably resolve something, but the question is that the only issue with the brakes on this vehicle? Probably not. And on the driver's side, this bolt that holds this sensor in broke off. So I'm gonna have to drill that and tap that hole and get a new fastener. Not a big deal. So that's the ABS sensor drama. The other thing now we gotta do is press the ball joints out. I do have a ball joint press, and new ball joints came with our new parts. So I'll just show you that over here. We have our serpentine belt, our CV boot rebuild kit, sway bar links for both sides of the front, and here's our control arms, but also somewhere here, ball joint. So we'll press those out, press the new one in to the new arm, and I'm sorry, not to the arm, to the hub. And then we'll throw everything back together. Got the ABS sensor out, had to drill a hole through the middle of it so I could chip the broken bits out and then clean it out with a brush and some brake clean. So that's all ready to go. I put a dab of like brake caliper slide grease on there too to try to prevent that surface from rusting again. We'll see. New ball joint is in. This is the passenger side. So we'll go on to exchanging the lower control arm next. I'm pretty sure it's just those two bolts since the sway bar link is broken. Popped right out. This bolt hole was kind of full of the captured nut up on top was full of oil, because I guess they had an oil leak up here in the past, so it's just dripping out really slow. But so this is why we're replacing this. This bushing is kind of cracked and worn. Same for that one. And this is our busted sway bar link. So no big deal. We'll swap in the new one. Had a heck of a time getting that hub knuckle assembly off of that control arm. I ended up just taking the control arm off the vehicle so I could set it on the ground and beat the living daylights out of it with a hammer. Finally got it to separate here, which is good. So now we gotta get that old ball joint out. We gotta get the broken ABS sensor out. And that's the broken bolt right here on the end. So I think what we're gonna do is, well, we might try to get it out first, we'll see, but it's probably gonna be some torch heating it up action, maybe a little penetrating oil, and potentially a vice grip. It looks like there's just enough at the top to grab that little nub there, see if we can twist it back out, but that's unlikely. So I'm planning to drill that out and tap the threads. Well, with something like this, there's about a 7% chance that I'll be able to get that out without drilling it. There's a couple things I'm going to try. The first is I'm going to spray the area with penetrating oil, and that might do, 2%. And what that's supposed to do is get down between the bolt and the mounting surface and, I don't know, magically absorb through the rust to lubricate things. So not sure how that's supposed to work, but it kind of might work. Maybe sometimes a little bit. Another thing that I'll do here is just tap on the housing, kind of like right here, and that might break up the rust. And all we're trying to do is break the friction between this, busted off bolt and the housing. And then the last thing I'll do, I'll hit this with the propane torch. And, if all of those things work 3% and we were that close, that might get it out. But don't forget that there was enough friction to break off that head, right? So there's obviously a lot of binding in there. So it's pretty unlikely that I'll be able to get it out without having to drill it out. But we'll give this a shot for a couple minutes, and then we'll cut our losses and drill a small hole, like a pilot hole, all the way down as far as we can into the bolt. Really small, like an 1/8 inch or smaller. And then we'll maybe go up to the next size up, but usually, at a certain point you'll be able to tell that like 90% of the material is gone and the bolt might magically free up. have to apologize. Things got kind of dark and ugly there for a little while. I was trying to get that, you know, busted off screw out of there, and my screw extractor broke, my spiral screw extractor, which of course is hardened steel. So then I couldn't drill straight down into the hole anymore because I had this lump of hardened steel in the middle. So I had to drill around the circumference of it so that I could break it out. And it's been about 7 or 8 months, and now I'm back to work. No, I'm just kidding, it's the next day. But I lucked out because I found the original threads down in there, and it's just a M6x1, so I went and got a new bolt. And actually I can still thread this in to the original threads, which means they're still intact and they're in the right place. So I'm really lucky about that. I was worried about the orientation of the sensor in relation to the wheel bearing. I didn't want it to be too far away or, you know, facing the wrong way. So that makes me feel good. I got some JB Weld. I'm going to have a sacrificial bolt here, mix up the JB Weld, fill this hole with a bolt in place, let it harden for, I don't know, 20 minutes or something, and then take the bolt out so that all this stuff around the periphery will be filled and nice and solid, but I'll still have my bolt hole in just the right place. And then I'll run a tap down it and put threads in the JB Weld, and it's going to be fantastic. Some people might call that art. You know, I wouldn't stop you from using that word, but that's a choice you need to make. 6 minutes set time at I think 40 degrees. So it's like 50 in here. Should be pretty close to that. We'll give this sucker a couple minutes and then I'll pull the bolt out. And hopefully our threads stay, you know, kind of usable. But you can drill and tap JB Weld too, so that's plan B if I totally screw this up. So I changed my plan. Surprise, surprise. I'm gonna put this thing in while the JB Weld is still setting up so that it actually holds the bolt in the perfect location. So this is my new sensor. Just gonna have to give it a little tappy tap here. Well, we're all wrapped up there. Put the bolt in. The epoxy's like 70–80% hard. So the bolt definitely, I got to put good torque on that. So it's definitely holding, and now it'll solidify overnight. It says like 4 to 6 hours. So should be just fine now. So that's over. Now we can go back to putting our ball joint back in and then reassemble all that doodads over there. Quick recap, new ball joint and ABS sensor installed on both knuckle assemblies. Everything went okay there, no surprises. I haven't put in this control arm yet, but I'll do that shortly. This side we did already. Kind of all over the place with this job today. I don't know why I'm not going in order, but it's time for the CV boot cover seal-y thing replacement. What happened was this old one is ripped here at this point, and so you can see there's actually a piece of it right there on the shaft. This side goes to the transmission, so this is called the inner, and this goes to the wheel hub, so this is the outer. And you find this nice pea green goo all over the inside of the transmission. That's how I noticed this one. So that means the grease is coming out of the joint, and that means the joint isn't going to live very long. So we're gonna put new grease in it. We're gonna clean it all up, put new grease in it, and then put the new boot on and reassemble everything. And there's only a couple of important things here. Number one, you don't want to just put the new boot on because you probably lost a bunch of grease already and it gets contaminated, so then this joint will go bad. And the other thing is, if you put a different kind of grease in here, sometimes they don't play nice together and they can also kill the joint. So you really want to just clean it and start over fresh. This is a reseal kit. It was pretty cheap actually. It comes with a bag of grease, a new boot, the clamps we're gonna need. These are kind of a one-time use thing. They're a crush type. And then this little snap ring that goes on the end, but I'm not sure that we're even gonna take the joint off of there. So you can see there's wheels here, right? You see how this moves around, and that just slips inside of a track that's inside there. So pretty cool. These actually work very well. They tolerate, you know, high speed and a lot of offset angles and stuff. So these are a great technology, I guess you want to call them. I don't know. They're in everything nowadays. Like everybody has the same CV shafts. Well, I forgot. We're gonna probably have to take this snap ring off to get this thing off so that we can slide the new boot on like that, because this thing will not fit over that thing. So I'm gonna try to take this clamp apart now. These I think are factory because they're like tack welded. They're not medical or mechanical retention. See if I can just bust a little tack weld, spot weld thing. And hopefully you can see right here, there's a little depression or a groove. And that's exactly where the end of the boot is gonna ride. And then we'll put the clamp on here and it'll hold on to that ridge when we tighten it down. So that's important to note when you put it back together. It's the front end has to be right there. Right, mostly quasi pretty much cleaned. This is cleaned. I popped the snap ring off of here. So now you can kind of see how they play together. This just goes like that. And then this thing rides in this thing. I think it goes this way. So kind of cool. So we're gonna put some grease. We're gonna throw our clamps on here, just loose for now so we don't forget. And we'll put this one this way. Something like that there. How's that supposed to work? Something like that. Now we'll just put this thing up like this. All right, just shoved in there. Not that sophisticated. And let's put some on this side. Okay, last step here before I slide that thing back in. Fill up all this grease into the boot. Doesn't have to be in the boot, it's just got to be in the joint somewhere. So you can put it here or here or there or here or everywhere is perfect. Anywhere is perfect. Oh, for Pete's sakes. Okay, that should be just about everything. Put a little bit more in here. So she's plumb full. All right. Put this guy back on and this guy back on. And then There, see how nice that is? Oh, it's all kind of distributing the grease now anyway. This boot just snapped into place on the ring, you know, on the ridge that's right there. And the front side is pushed forward until it's at its ring. So that's good. I'm gonna wiggle this around, push it in and out a little bit, try to distribute that grease and neutralize everything. Now there's two things to be aware of. You can have too much air in here or not enough air in here. And I'm moving it around and I see the boot is not puffing out like a balloon and it's not collapsing like a vacuum either. So I'm gonna just burp this thing one more time. And then we should be ready to put the clamps on. So this style clamp is nice because it can be done after the fact. And basically it just slides to get it close. And then what you do is you crush this little square here, like this. And that will suck up all the slack and tighten everything. So you gotta get it pretty close by hand first before you go crimping it. All right, so that's going super easy. Okay, so that's pretty close. I feel like we could probably get one more click out of that, one more notch. Maybe not. That might be it. We'll do the back side here too. Okay, almost had it. A little bit farther to go. Oh, there. Perfect. Okay, so now I should be able to squeeze that one. Yep, looks good. It's all in place on the back side. Yep, okay. Squeezy, squeeze here. Easy peasy. There. That ought to work. I got a tiny bit of grease kind of squeezing out the sides here, so that's good. It should be universally tight. Now we gotta do this front guy. I'm not sure yet if I should go one more. Doesn't seem like I can get one more out of it, but maybe. For some reason it's all greasy. How's a dad joke? Oh, there's actually a lot of gap right there. So yeah, I definitely have to get one more. I wonder if I could do it with like a needle nose. It definitely worked to take it apart. This is a riveting video, right? think that accidentally worked. Pretty tight now. Yeah. Okay, let's squash this guy. Oh, did you see that? Okay, we'll hold that in place. It's fine, it's fine. Everything's fine. Oh, lovely. Sweet. Back on the ground, no real surprises. I did have one more broken bolt on the driver's side, which was a bummer, but it was just a little one that held the bracket for the ABS wheel speed sensor, so I was able to get it out of there and put a new bolt in it without any tears. So yeah, should be all good to go. I really hope that this will resolve one of the many brake lights. And he's gonna go get in alignment now and just make sure everything's tip top. But I think that's gonna do it for this job. Thanks for watching.